Join me, Mark Windows, with Tony Hurst for Windows on the World Live every Sunday 9 to 11 p.m. GMT on autonomousmedia.net. Over the summer I met Harry Rhodes and experienced his cloud busting machines. These are basically cylinders that contain mirrors and a silk, and he pointed them up at the sky, which was absolutely opaque with cloud, and within 10 minutes the whole sky was cleared. I was very sceptical, and this happened 3 times, so it's kind of convinced me that something was going on. I've looked into etheric energy, and I'm sure there is something in this. I mean, cloud busting has been known about. The work of William Reich also gets mentioned. But if there's anybody out there who knows more about this kind of technology and like to come on the show, please get in touch. This is the interview we did with Harry.
I got introduced to cloud busting about 3 to 3.5 years ago. It's one of them subjects you learn in life that you think, this is impossible. It's ridiculous, it sounds stupid, but it's like, it kept coming back at me, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go anyway. And then the result was absolutely unbelievable. It was spectacular. And when I deployed, this is the sort of effect we have. We've had forecast today 100% rain, and we've now got 100% sunshine, blue skies, and we look around in a circle in the distance. We've got rain clouds, and we've had them there all day, but for the last 4 hours now we've had blue skies directly above us.
Harry, can you tell us what you mean by cloud busting?
Cloud busting is it's to do with the etheric energy that's in the atmosphere. Tesla talked about this etheric energy. It's everywhere. He learned everything that he did scientifically from the understanding and comprehension of ether, which is nobody can fully explain it. You can only prove that it does exist. Now,
the Victorians talked a lot about the etheric energy, didn't they? And in a way, that was all tied in to this expansion of ideas through spiritualism, wasn't it? When you go back into when we talk about the ether, you see.
Yeah.
And I've always thought that historically, when you look at ancient literature, there is this reference to this kind of basically something that's between everything. Can you explain it a bit more?
It's almost like opening doors to other forms of energy. Ether is not a form of energy that you can put your finger on and say, look, I can see it there physically. It's almost like radiation. In fact, one form of ether is radiation, or, and it is affected, or it affects radiation as well. And
can you explain what or is?
Or is another form of orgon, or ether if you like. It has 1 or 2 other dimensions. In fact, DOR, we call it DOR, which is like deadly orgon. That's the black that you see in clouds. When the sun shines on, it stays black. It's a negative energy. It makes people ill. It's one of the biggest causes of illnesses as well, when you look at it. And that's how William Reich cured people of their illnesses. He dragged and sucked the door out using his orgon equipment. And it sounds mad. It sounds ridiculous. It's like you need locking up. But the funny thing is, when you look into it and actually use the equipment and do it, everything you read actually happens the way they say it happens.
What you say does make sense to me, because I've filled in some of the gaps. But a lot of people might find this incredible in the respect that you've got these metal tubes and you appear to be saying that you can control the weather. Can you explain a bit how this works?
Right, the weather is naturally controlled anyway by the sun, because he puts positive ions in the atmosphere. It also involves the use of negative ions as well. And what ether does, as Tesla said, ether controls electricity, magnetism, all energy, and that's what we do. We tap into it. And William Reich said something very interesting. He says it's a natural reset and healing of the atmosphere. So that's got to be a good thing, not a bad thing.
Now, these energy fields, from my point of view, I've studied this for quite a long time, with respect to altered states of consciousness and conscious awareness, and awareness of this etheric energy.
Yes.
It seems to be something that you can tune into. I've been involved in out-of-body experiences and projection for many years.
Right.
And within that framework of belief system, what you're saying actually makes complete sense to me. Now, you were here yesterday and it was raining, and basically that you seem to be able to create gaps in the clouds and clear the clouds. Now, can you explain what you were doing there?
Right, ether works on potentials. So a high etheric potential is black clouds, winds, rains, storms, lightning. That's a high etheric potential. Now, a low etheric potential is drought, desert conditions, plants that have died. So there's a potential between the two. Now on this equipment here, by spraying water in it, it creates a high potential. And we spray the water into the base and the tops. Now, you get a reaction between the high potential in the atmosphere and the low potential of the equipment, and the ether always delivers. And the ether flows from a low potential to a high potential. Now, that means you can decide whether you deploy it at a high potential or a low potential. If you deploy this at a high potential into clouds, the etheric flow is from the low potential atmosphere to the high potential, and so the clouds dissolve. And that's why we've been spraying water in this, and that's why the clouds have all disappeared.
So the difference between high and low potential is the amount of water that you're spraying into it, is that right?
Partially, yes. You don't generate any energy inside the apparatus. It reacts with the potential in the atmosphere. For example, if you were to point at the sun, which these react with a plasma deployment as well from the sun, you can get massive results. So it's quantum. Ether is actually quantum.
So, is this thing behind us a receiver or a projector of energy? What would you say it was?
It's both.
Yes.
It does too.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yes. And yes, you can either create a high or a low potential. It translates. That's why they're called translators.
Tell us a bit about other people around the world that are doing this. There seems to be a network of people.
Yes, we've got teams. We don't want to go into too much detail. We don't give names and addresses or anything like that. But for example, we've had 9 years of California droughts for many, many years before that as well. But as it turns out, we broke the drought in California. In fact, we had nearly 20 people deploying, and it was a massive change that took place. In fact, the very day we started deploying, that's when the rains came in, and it didn't stop for about 4 months. And we broke every rain record in California and every snow record. No farmers going bankrupt now. They're having massive crops that have been grown. And the same in the UK as well. We deployed, they said in February of this year, 2017, there is going to be a big drought this year. And we never had a drought. We started deploying, we broke rain records within a few days of the announcement of the drought. Now we've got bumper crops of potatoes, bumper crops of asparagus, bumper crops of all soft fruit and apples, bumper crops of cabbages and cauliflowers. In fact, Tesco, Lidl and Aldi and also Sainsbury's announced that they're slashing the prices because otherwise they've got to throw it all away. There's too much of it. That's a nice position to be in.
It is. So a lot of people hear stuff about weather modification, for instance the term chemtrailing.
Yeah.
These weather modification programs seem to be a lot more complicated than a lot of people realise that they are. There's a blanket term called chemtrailing, but weather modification and this basically control of the ionosphere is beyond a lot of people's capacity. Do you know anything about it that you could explain simply what certain of these weather modification techniques are about?
Yeah, we've got HARP in Alaska.
Yeah.
Billy Hayes is a person who actually was involved with building that and designing it, amongst others in a team. He built 7 of them, in fact built 8 of them, including Alaska. I've got a video recording of Billy Hayes saying, I don't realise what energy I've got here. I said, I'm sorry, I do. He says, oh right. He says, do you realise what you've got can knock out HARP? And that's from the horse's mouth. On video I've got that. And,
you see, a lot of people would find that to be an incredible claim.
Yeah.
In the respect that HARP is allegedly altering the ionosphere.
Yes.
Through massive electrical energy fields.
Yep.
And you're saying that this tube that you put a bit of water in can affect that?
Absolutely, 1000%. In fact, this is what NASA wants to do. The ionosphere causes problems for satellites and rockets. So they said they want to destroy and wipe out the ionosphere. Some of the things they've been doing is letting nuclear warheads off there. There's been hundreds of them let off up there because nuclear deployments actually affect the electronic field of the atmosphere. They've done that deliberately. But when